and justice for all. Okay, good evening and welcome to the August 15th, 2022 Board of Selectmen's meeting. First thing on the agenda, we will have a moment of silence for all those who are suffering from illnesses, war, forest fires. Okay, thank you. I'm just going to skip over. Sue will get to you in a minute, okay, after I go through the agenda. Okay, at 6:35, we have a public hearing. Then we have Town Administrator's update, DPW Department Report, several action items which are all consideration and possible vote to action on. Authorizes Chair of the Board of Selectmen to execute a letter allowing the Lafayette sign to be placed on the town common. A one-day liquor license for John Sammick, Hardwick, Vineyard and Winery, LLC, for Sturbridge Harvest Festival on October 15th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and October 16th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for beer and wine. A one-day liquor license for Mike Placella, Tutti Quanti for wine and food pairing on September 15th, October 20th, November 17th, and December 15th. And we have the contract for paving with Mass Broken Stone Company for a sum up to $330,000 at the rate per the bid documents, work to be completed on or before June 30th, 2023. Contract for brush grinding at Sturbridge Landfill with Wicklow Wood Recycling, LLC. The agreement is effective August 18th, 2022, and expires on November 30th, 2022, for the sum of $12,688. Contract with Tie and Bonding, Inc. on the cemetery mapping at North Cemetery in the amount of $9,500. Consideration and possible action on the contract with CHA for 501 Main Street parking lot design in the amount of $14,000. Contract with Leeds Group, Inc., doing business as Lead Salt, in the amount of $94.70 per ton, with a minimum amount of 225 tons and a maximum amount of 375 tons. To allow the chair to execute the limited application waiver request town support letter to the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resource Pesticide Bureau, and to adopt the order of taking in the form submitted to complete the layout of a portion of Hillside Drive as accepted by the vote on June 2nd, 2022 town meeting, annual town meeting under Article 30. No damages are awarded for this taking. Old business, new business, correspondence, and citizens forum. So first up, we have Sue Brogan. Would you come up to the mic there, please? Good evening.
Hello, my name is Sue Brogan. I'm the Sturbridge coordinator for the Pan Mass Challenge. I am also very honored to be a member of the board of directors of the Pan Mass. So I come here to thank the town of Sturbridge sincerely from all of the 6,500 participants of the Pan Mass this past year for the great cooperation that we received from the town of Sturbridge. Every year, I think it can't get any better, and every year it indeed does. This year, the safety aspect of it was led by Lieutenant Larry Bateman. He did a fabulous job. Chief Desert and Chief Grasso always keep a watchful eye on us. Fire and police coordinate beautifully. They coordinate with MEMA and then our road crew and our safety people, and it's wonderful not to worry about a thing. We bring a great many people to Sturbridge who might not have public notoriety, but they are certainly influential throughout the state. and they all leave with the feeling that they've been well taken care of. That's largely due to the work that happens inside of your public safety. This year, your new town administrator, Robin, as I just said to her, took victory from the jaws of defeat and snatched it back, and was able to help me find housing for 146 riders. And she did that, and as all the town officials did, in the spirit of helping the PanMass in their mission to cure cancer. So I thank you very much. Mary Dowling volunteered her time and volunteered. We were 1,300 volunteers short throughout the event. So your CERT crew was phenomenal. Anything they could do, they did do. They took initiative. They helped out wherever they could. Much, much appreciated. So I just sincerely cannot thank the town enough. I'm very proud to be from Sturbridge. And
Well, we certainly thank you for all you and your crew does for cancer research, too. And the town certainly benefits from one of the leaving posts.
well, and I would be remiss if I did not mention Old Sturbridge Village. They have been our partner through this throughout. They're planning for their large event. So we like to say between the two of us, we take the town and just fit as many people as we can comfortably and happily, and it just is a great weekend for everyone. So again, I thank you very much. I do get emotional about it because
Understand.
if we had this kind of cooperation through all our 357 towns, oh, my word. But we've made great strides in research, and again, everything you all do is very much part of it. If you have any questions about the event, I'm happy to answer them.
Mary?
I also want to thank Sue for coming every year because, you know, we're here and we're supposed to, you know, we listen to residents' concerns and sometimes complaints, but it's not often that when somebody's satisfied with the job that the town has done and the employees takes the time to come in and talk to us. And Sue does every year since I've been sitting here.
Mary, I am certainly happy to talk to anybody who has complaints and give them examples of how this truly, especially public safety, you know, it started back with, you know, Kevin Fitzgibbons let us out of town in the first ride back in the 80s, you know what I mean? And that mantle of cooperation and welcoming, but safety. There are rules, and we follow them, and the riders follow them, but they're enforced in just the most pleasant, welcoming way. It's truly a tribute to the town that has carried on. I know every town gets complaints, but
Oh, not about this, I'm talking in
no,
general.
I mean, every town gets complaints about their services.
Right.
Don't take them too seriously, not, because things could be worse.
We have thick skin.
Yeah,
And
things could
tomorrow's
be
another
much
day.
worse.
Well,
Things
just to
could be
echo
much
Sue's
worse.
sentiments, when I was volunteering in merchandising, you know, we were unloading these boxes full of this great swag and everything. So I just said to the couple that has been running that end of things for like 30 years. So I said, so how's the, you know, how does the town, you know, treat you? And I didn't say a word about who I was just trying to get in. He said, we love it. We love the police, do such a great job. And so after I said who I was, but I just wanted to, you know, get a feel for it. And so not only you, but even it trickles down to the other people
well.
overseeing it. They're very satisfied with
The
Sturbridge.
PanMass is not a trickle, as you know, it's not a trickle-down organization. I always say you cannot really participate in the PanMass unless you can load a Penske and then drive it somewhere. So it's very much a boots-on-the-ground and hands-on organization. So, and I'm here not just to express my personal sentiments, but indeed the feeling of the Board of Directors and the entire PanMass organization. I'm not speaking just for Sue Brogan. I am speaking for as I said, for the 6,500 riders. So thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for coming in, so.
Good night.
Okay, next we have public service announcements. Ian?
I have none.
Mary?
No.
None.
Jamie? The only one I have, and I see Lynn Gerard wrote it up too, that early voting hours will begin Saturday, August 27th from 9 to 5 p.m., and then the following week, Monday, August 29th through Friday, August 2nd. Early voting will take place during regular business hours, which 8 to 4, except Tuesday is 8 to 7. So, but it'll be posted several places. Okay, next we have a public hearing allocating the local property tax levy amount, the classes of real property and personal property for fiscal year 2022. Do we have the notice on that?
You no longer have to put it in the paper.
Oh, okay.
You just have to post it like a regular meeting now.
Oh, okay, so we don't need the title, public
good.
hearing.
Yeah, no, we're.
The
we're
hearing,
covered.
just the hearing.
Nice, how long has that been?
I think it's been at least 2 years, if not 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
For all
I think
public
it's 2 years.
hearings, or just?
No,
just-
just for the
Okay, that's what I
classification.
thought, I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
No, just for the
Oh,
classification.
that's good, she
hearing.
topped me.
Yeah, I think it started to get a little cumbersome for some towns when you're trying to get your tax rate set, and, oh, I forgot to put it in the paper, now we're set back 2 weeks, and, you know,
Yeah.
so they made that change. I think it's at least 2 years, if not 3. So.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Ann.
so I'm new to this, so bear with me. So tonight, we're going to present to you the classification hearing. There are 4 different issues that you have to vote on. Selection of a SIP factor, and the SIP stands for commercial, industrial, and personal property. Open space discount, residential exemption, and the small commercial exemption. And just preface that with the tax rate that is included in this presentation is estimated. It hasn't been certified yet, but we're pretty sure that's what it's going to be. This year I put in a copy of the LA4 just so that you could see how the town kind of breaks down into classes. So class 1 is our residential class. This gives you the parcel count, tells you how many single families we have, how many condos. Of course, if you don't know the codes, I probably should have put in a little identification as to the codes. But our residential class is our highest. It's 1.3 billion, or just over 1.3 billion. Our open space is technically all of our chapter land. It's not open space that other people refer to. It's just our chapter land parcels, and that's 1.3 million. Our commercial class, we have 157 million. Oops. And our industrial class, 34 million. And then our personal property is 58 million. Our exempt parcels, we have 296 exempt parcels, and they total 177,500,400. So, our tax rate last year was 1915. The proposed tax rate for 2023 is 1807, so it went down just over $1. Our values, as you can see, they went up pretty much across the board, about 10%, some a little more, some a little less. So, in these instances, I gave you 3 different scenarios of the houses, their taxes from 2022 to their tax 2023, and you can see that the tax increase, even though values went up, tax rate went down, the tax increase is smaller than it was last year. For example, last year when we had this example on the end, I think the value difference was like, it went up about 18%, and the tax increase was like $795. So it's a much nicer tax increase this year than it was last year. We had a big bump last year. So on the SIP factor, you are shifting the tax burden if you choose to go with a split tax rate. So if you go with a split tax rate, the residential and the open space chapter land would stay at a residential rate, and the burden would shift onto the commercial, industrial, and personal property. Out of the 351 Massachusetts cities and towns, 120 of those have a higher SIP value than Sturbridge does. The higher the SIP value, it makes it more feasible to apply that tax split. And there was 109 split tax rates last year in fiscal 2022. 98 of those had a higher SIP factor than Sturbridge did. So here's our proposed tax rate. Last year it was 1915, proposed at 1807. If you do a split tax rate at 1.05, you'll see the residential goes down a little bit, 1791. Commercial goes up a little bit, 1898. You increase it another 5%, drops down to 774, 1988, and so on and so forth. So the more percentage you add, the higher the commercial rate is going to go. And for an example, so you have a $350,000 residential property and commercial property. At the same tax rate, they're paying the same taxes. If you go with a 1.05, you'll see that the residential saves about $56, but the commercial goes up $318. And then you go up another 5%, they're saving $115. The commercial is now paying another $633. So the impact of that, it reduces it for the residential and open space, but it increases it for our commercial, industrial, and personal property. And most of our commercial properties are also paying the personal property tax. So they're already paying 2 taxes to the town. And then if you if you do a split tax rate, it increases it on both their commercial taxes and on their personal property tax. We have 4,260 residential open space properties, and we have 765 commercial, industrial, and personal properties. So that covers the split tax rate. Now we're on to the open space discount. You can shift up to 25% to the open space parcels. All of our open space parcels are in chapter land right now. So we really find that they're already getting assessed at a much lower rate than what they would normally be assessed. Chapter 61 forestry, it's $98 an acre, where the regular value is $3,500 an acre. And then the 61A is set by the farmland values, but it's anywhere from $100 an acre to $700 an acre. And then the chapter 61B is 25% of the value, so that's about $825 an acre. So you can see here, if they were not in chapter land, their taxes would be $632.45 for a 10-acre parcel. If they were in chapter 61 forestry, their taxes go from $632 down to $17.35. In 61A, again, they go from $632 down to $33.25, and in 61B, they go from $632 to $158. So they already get a big break, so doing an open space exemption really doesn't factor in here. Now we're on to the third item, the residential discount. You can grant up to 35% to owner-occupied residential properties. So the exclusions are vacant land, seasonal or second homes, and residential properties not occupied by the primary residence. So a lot of times that's the apartments, the 2 families. You would be shifting, if you choose to do a residential discount, you shift it within the residential class. It has no impact on the commercial, industrial, or personal property. So also, some of the residents, if you do a discount, not everybody gets that. Everybody gets the change in the tax rate, but not everybody's taxes are going down. So you're shifting it between them, so there's like a cap where it hits a certain level where now that person is now paying more taxes. I'll try to explain that a little better. So if you go with a 35% exemption, the $114,325, that would come off of their value, okay? And then the rate would change from 1807 to 2535, okay? So here's the example, qualified and unqualified. They start off at the same, 326, 643 with the single rate of 1807. They're both paying $5,902. This person gets the 35% exemption. We take the 114,325 off of their value to bring it down to the 212,318. But now instead of an 1807 tax rate, their tax rate is 2535. But their taxes are now $5,382. They're saving $520. Even though the tax rate went up, their value went down by this much. This person's value stays the same. His tax rate's going to change up to the 2535, and now his taxes just increased by $2,300. So not everybody would get that residential exemption. This is an example of the 15%, because you can choose any percentage from 1 to 35. This tax rate would go from 1807 to 2061. And again, just shows you a qualified property would save $180, and an unqualified property's taxes would go up $829. So the shifting points, if you adopt a residential exemption, regardless of what percentage you adopt, 2,204 properties would see a decrease, but 1,951 properties would see an increase, and that's an approximate. The small commercial exemption, you can decide to exempt up to 10% of the value of commercial properties. The small commercial exemption lowers taxes on properties occupied by small businesses, and it shifts it to the other commercial. This would have no impact on the residentials. Only commercial properties are eligible, even though the industrial and the personal properties would be affected by that, by the tax rate. It has to be occupied by the business by January 1st. It does not have to be owner occupied. So you have some of those businesses out there that they may have like a strip of all these little individual businesses. It's the owner of the property who gets the exemption, not the businesses. And we get a report every year from the state that gives us a list of all the possible businesses that could qualify, and we have to go through that report and pull them out. So out of that report, 58 of the 234 businesses on that list might qualify for that exemption. And the total value of that is $29,893,538. A 10% shift would increase their tax rate by 29 cents. So business A qualifies. They're both valued at $750,000. Tax rate of 1807. They're both paying $13,552. The one who qualifies, the tax rate changes to 1836 for both. He saves $1,159, and this person's taxes go up $217. Only the commercial properties, again, qualify, but the industrial properties are impacted. Commercial properties account for 9.78% of our levy. Our industrials, 2.17% of the levy. And if anybody did not appear on that report from the state, they could apply to the assessor's office, and we would have to go through all their documentation to see if they would qualify. So that ends the presentation. The board would vote or recommend that we go with a single tax rate, that we do not adopt an open space discount, that we do not adopt a residential exemption or a small commercial exemption.
Okay, questions, comments from the board?
We'll ask this every time, but was that a unanimous decision, unanimous recommendation?
Okay. It's not really an advertised public hearing, but does anyone in the public have a question? Okay, first of all, let's take a vote on the selection of the CIP factor recommended at 1. Someone want to make a motion?
Sure, I vote to adopt a single tax rate.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, a vote now at the recommendation to not adopt the open space discount.
Yeah.
I'll move not to adopt the open space discount.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, the residential exemption, motion on the recommendation of the assessors to not adopt the residential exemption.
I will move not to adopt a residential exemption.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor? And the last one, small commercial exemption, motion on the recommendation of the assessors to not adopt the small commercial exemption.
I will move not to adopt a small commercial exemption.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you.
If I could just take a moment to thank Ann and the board.
Well, yes.
This was a little bit faster, earlier than
Yeah,
usual.
I know, usually it's
And
10.
I know you are on a big crunch time to get that done. The way the calendar fell, the way the September meeting fell.
Yeah.
So I really want to credit Ann and the Board of Assessors for
and-
the tremendous effort on this.
Myself and Barbara Berry had been talking the last couple of years about moving it up a little, because we're finding that having it the day after Labor Day, it's like crunch time, and then we have to try to get the bills out by, September 30th. So if this works for everybody, it would probably be better to have it earlier. That way, then we can get all the rest of the stuff in at a better time frame to the DOR to get that tax rate certified a little sooner than we used to, so that we can get those tax bills out on time. Because it's like a crunch of like 6 or 7 days of trying to get the final tax rate approved and then get all that information into the system, all the exemptions, all the senior work programs on the bills. We have to put all of those exemptions on the tax bills before we can print them and get them out. So it's, this is gonna work a lot better if we can continue to do that. I just gotta figure out how.
Thank you, Ann. Great job.
Thank you all.
It's the big screen that's,
The high tech, so there you go, the big X.
I know, it's like crazy.
I couldn't work it because I couldn't reach it.
There we go.
Impressive.
Oh, I guess I was supposed to close. These at home. Maybe next year I'll put sound down there.
Okay, thank you. Have a
Did
good
everybody
night.
sign?
Hi, thank
It went
you.
down that way. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, Michelle's got it. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Town Administrator's update.
Yeah, a couple of brief things. You asked me to follow up on a telephone poll question. Some neighbors were concerned about why National Grid had pulled a poll. It turns out, in a response from Grid, the road is private in that section, so it wouldn't require town approval. They're going to need some easements and whatnot, but it's a private road in that portion, so that's why they pulled it out from us. Secondly, there was a question about the Rapscallion, where the Rapscallion project was. In the meantime, in all of this, Jean met with the owner, and there's a new general manager, and it seemed that may have been where there was some disconnect. And so they went over everything actually today, and they are aiming for planning on September 13th, I believe. So it is moving forward. That's good. That we got that one moving forward. You received a correspondence on, or I received a correspondence on Friday that I believe was copied to you. I realize it was sent to the whole board. If we're going to have any further discussion on this at some point, we can put it on as executive session, but I have heard from attorneys. So I just want to caution that there have been contact from attorneys on this. So that correspondence, if there needs to be a discussion on it, I think would have to go into an executive session down the road. And then finally, I need to ask you to do a very short special early next week for the Main Street, 7 Main Street property. Our attorneys just got back to us today with the documents for signature, and he had not realized we were meeting tonight, so it hadn't made the agenda, and he thought we had another meeting on the 29th. And we need to have the sale done by the end of August for the seller. So he asked if we could just do a quick special. I don't know if Monday during the day, if you want to do a quick morning buzz. I don't know what everybody's schedules look like. But it literally is come in, take a vote, and sign it, kind of thing.
When are people not available next week?
I can do Monday, Tuesday, whenever. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, Robin, are you going to be here, or?
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday's fine. Monday morning at 10, 11, whatever works for everybody, 9.
Mary?
Monday's better for me than Tuesday.
Perfect, that's good.
Monday's fine.
Monday, 10 a.m.
Monday's fine.
Okay, so we'll set.
Could we make it 10?
10? Sure. So set a special meeting for 10 on Monday? That gives us time to post that? Great, thank you.
Yeah, today's plenty of time.
Thank you, and I think that's it from me.
Okay, any questions on the report? Okay, next we have DPW Department Report. Heather? Good evening.
Yes.
So I'm just going to quickly go over the memo that I sent you of the things that I'm working on, and then I know you also get our monthly report, so if you have any questions on that, I'll try to provide answers to that as well as giving you a brief update, because I'm sure everybody is curious. I'll start with that. I'm sure everybody has noticed that work has kind of stopped on Route 20. And I know Robin might know more than me.
No, we don't hear anything about that.
Yeah,
Nobody
I'm
ever
sure
mentions
you
it.
have. From what I have heard, and I know Robin has had correspondence with the state also, is that there is a financial disagreement going on between the contractor and the state regarding some change orders. So at this point, this contractor has decided to wait until that is settled.
And when I made a phone call on this, what was that, early last week? I was,
Yes.
or
were
actually the
told-
Friday
yeah.
before, I was told that by early last week, the contractor would be back on site. Apparently, there is some issue with change orders being approved and processed out of Boston,
Yes.
which has led the contractor to become upset because the change orders have not been processed. I'll be making another call to the Commonwealth because
Yeah,
we
they
had
have-
been assured that a week from this today past, we would have seen activity again.
I feel bad for that business.
I feel bad for all the businesses down
Well,
there. We-
particularly the
only
one
one?
that's directly impacted.
Yeah, I know that we had received phone calls in my office today regarding it and what was going on, because there's some smaller businesses adjacent that don't also have access, and I know even Yankee Candle's concerned, because people aren't as comfortable turning in there with access and walking, and they were making very good progress, and now to see it just stop and be halted is very discouraging, but I don't know, other than having Robin and maybe escalating it up the chain of command to our local.
I may have to go above.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that we're in the process of trying to get a sit-down with DOT generally about a whole host of issues and the future of Route 20 and
Right. And
some of what they have planned.
as far as 131, they are winding down. They do have some more paving some more line striping to do. We have some concerns that I've already voiced to them on multiple occasions. Some of the manholes, I'm sure you've probably heard some of these concerns too, because I've definitely are definitely low and cause some trouble going up over them. In addition, some of the valve boxes that they've installed or put risers on have already either failed or have asphalt in them, so we wouldn't be able to get on the valves even if we had to. Not all of them. The water department went out and checked them last week and had a list to provide to them. So, I don't want to say these things happen, but they do, but part of it is just keeping on and trying to follow up. It might not be that we have much recourse other than to complain and stamp our feet a little bit, and the water department may have to go and jackhammer their brand-new road, and they're not going to like it very much, but we're going to be like, well, then you shouldn't have filled in our boxes.
Right. Should have listened to us in the first place.
Can I ask a
Question.
So on 131, right before the Yankee Peddler, where the work is being done,
On Route 20?
I'm sorry, in Route 20, correct. That sidewalk, not the sidewalk, that crosswalk is half gone. It's totally faded heading towards Brimfield. I mean, you only get the crosswalk on the other half, so people who are crossing the street from the Yankee Peddler side, whether they're crossing to walk, run, whatever.
I can ask, but I can tell you
Well, that's like a safety thing for the
Even-
state. Like if
even-
anybody, if a resident gets hurt because they're trying to cross in that crosswalk, that's a liability for the state. So I think that they
Well, I
really,
can put them on notice, that's all
right,
I
they
can
need
do.
to address that sidewalk. If anybody drives by you will know what I'm talking
Yep.
about.
And
It's
they
half gone.
had been out there doing lines, so I'm surprised they hadn't
They have not done
done that
anything with
one.
this
I
one.
know they did some on 20, obviously they did 131, so they can just have the, but
Okay.
they don't.
I know you're the messenger, I'm just.
Yeah, I will put the message out there, it's not a problem. I've yelled at them multiple times regarding making sure that that crosswalk wasn't storing equipment in it and equipment overnight, and multiple emails have gone back and forth regarding that even, so
Yeah.
we'll follow up.
All right,
There's
thank
nobody
you.
there right now, they can easily do it, so.
Yep.
All right, back to our projects. And a lot of these you'll see you have contracts coming before you tonight to sign, so I'm just going to give you like the little 2-second brief update, and if anybody has any questions. So we put a project out to bid for the brush grinding at the landfill. There's a very large pile of brush that has accumulated over years and years. So we put that out to bid. That was one of the items that was funded in this year's DPW budget. So Wicklow Wood Recycling received that, and you have a contract there for that. 501 Main Street parking lot, which has been an ongoing project. The design has been completed. You moved forward in this year to go ahead and move forward with construction. So with CHA, we're going to move those documents forward to be contract documents, provide bidding assistance and technical support during construction. They tell me once we sign their contract, it's about 2 months out to put it out to bid, which probably puts us in the spring to start construction. The treated salt contract, this is a contract that we do a cooperative purchasing agreement with Oxford and a lot of other regional towns for what we refer to as our treated salt. Treated salt is salt that will melt the ice in a lower melting, when it's colder, it will still melt. It has a lower tolerance. So we use that when it gets really cold. It's more expensive, but it also actually works. So we have to kind of have it as our option. You will see that that actually has gone up, which was expected quite a lot this year. It's like a 25% increase in the per ton price. But knowing what has happened with trucking, which most of that is really the trucking cost for diesel and trucking and across the state. I am working with Ty and Bond on the water and sewer system, working on an asset management grant. That grant application just went in to Mass DEP. They do these grant applications, they have for the last couple of years, and it's a pretty significant amount that you can get as part of the grant. You put up some of your own time because there's a lot of data that has to be then. We won't know for probably another 6 months if we actually get it. They're not competitive, but they're just, depends on how many people apply, and then they look at the applications and see who needs, what the needs are. This is a really good first step of developing our capital plan, is to know what we have and making sure that we have everything time-wise of how old is this piece of equipment, how long should it last, and starting getting the schedule going. We're also looking, Robin and I have been working on a streetlight replacement with LEDs. I know you had a presentation from a vendor, and we've spoken to him also, who vet previously to us. I think moving to LED streetlights is a really good idea, but we're also looking at what National Grid could offer. So they're re-looking at what the cost is if they replace the lights and still maintained running them. So we're going to have some more information in the future. Maple Street water line, we're still on track to start in September. The grant information, which I think you're all aware of, we believe that we were going to be able to do that all under a grant. That information is still coming out from EPA. So although we have the money set aside basically in a federal line item, the grant application itself hasn't been actually even developed yet. So we're kind of in this very interesting limbo. I have some more conversations coming with the local EPA administrator. There are some hoops we have to jump through that may preclude this project from being able to be one that's grant funded. Now, this has already been voted on, so there's already a voted approved borrowing for this project also. The nice thing is the way that earmark is written, we're getting the money either anyway, we just would have to do a different water line improvement project. So it's just, we have to still work out whether it's going to be Maple Street, or if we have to do a borrowing on Maple Street, or maybe is it gonna be Cedar Street? Or we have a couple other water lines that are suspects in town that we might wanna deal with too. So, more to come on that, because we're still trying to figure out what hoops we have to jump through and if we can actually jump through them. There's a lot of Buy American provisions and things of that nature that are very specific the way you have to bid the project, so. Complete streets, we just completed some construction, some investigative work basically over on Cedar Street to see what the water lines there actually were and what was going on, because we had some very interesting conflicting data. The good news is we will be able to proceed with our Complete Streets project now, because we do believe it's all ductile iron on the lower half up to the school, and that the asbestos line doesn't start until afterwards. So we actually found good news, but it took a little while to get there. Safe routes to school, everything's been submitted. It's really in DOT's hands right now, that project. And then we have the paving project, which you have the contract in front of you. At this time, after delving into the lengths and the money and the costs, we're going to put lead mine, northern side of lead mine on hold, because most of the road is actually in very good shape. There is one very bad section that really, what we were going to do for treatment there, we couldn't just overlay it like we bid it out. We really need to do a much more in-depth thing. If it comes in that we're running lower on our quantities, then we will reinvestigate that, because we have quantity numbers, but we don't have enough under the 330,000 to do all of lead line like we had hoped. And really, that was just when we started doing our deep down measured calculations on the actual streets, the money just isn't enough. The costs are very high this year. Again, trucking and asphalt costs are really considerably higher. So I think that's all I have. I'm sure there's other things going on, but and like I said, if there's something specific in the day-to-day operations, most of the stuff that we're doing right now is prepping for those paving jobs. Still, roadside mowing all over town, trying to get as much back as we can. We're heading up 148 again before school starts, so everybody can be happy that, yes, we're going to trim that back again. It's on our radar. There are still streets we have not got to. Sometimes we receive calls and we say, no, we're aware, we have a list, we are going down our list. But if there are trouble spots, we are happy to go and try to address certain trouble spots.
Okay, any questions on the memorandum, Mary?
So just dovetailing on that, I did get some complaints on, I noticed that private road maintenance, you've filled potholes on South Shore Road.
Yep.
And filled holes on various private roads. Would one of those be Lake Road? I know I got some complaints that there's like potholes and dug up pavement. I know we don't pave it, but we do patch it. And it's at the end, Lake Road's a fairly long road. It's at the end where Highland is as you round the corner. So I took a ride on it to see, and a lot of Lake Road is in good condition, but this particular area.
No, I'll make sure that they know that it was on those. Sometimes, sometimes people don't call and complain to us. It's amazing,
I know, I said I would raise it. This resident was reluctant to go directly to the DPW, I don't know why. But it is, I went and took a ride, and it is in rough
Never
shape.
go to the
So
source.
Lake Road at
Where Highland is, and then you keep going, at the Highland end.
Okay.
As you round the corner, it's going to be obvious. And then Lake Road gets in really good condition, but this one section.
Yep, nope, we'll just put it on the list, and it might not be tomorrow, and, because we don't get pavement every day, so people have to understand, like, when we're out paving, okay, we'll get enough so that we are doing that, but it takes a couple, once a week, we usually go get pavement right now, but I can make sure that it's on their list.
And maybe you can just say for the people watching, what the town can and can't do on private roads, because there's a lot of confusion. I get a lot of residents that say to me, we pay so much in taxes. And, so then I try to explain, it's not a public road. You got to bring it up to conditions, but maybe you could explain it a little better, what we can do to make it passable for, emergency vehicles
Right.
and school buses, and what we don't do.
So if the road is currently paved and it needs patching because there are potholes, we will patch the potholes. If the road is currently not paved and gravel, we will come to the road and attempt to fill in the gravel holes. What that could be is that we bring a backhoe and we try to scrape it so that it is smoothed out, and we take the loose gravel and put it back in. We might bring more gravel in and put more gravel in. What that doesn't mean is that we're not taking our grader down the road and regrading the whole road. We can't do that. It's actually, the bylaw is very specific to that we're only supposed to be addressing potholes.
It
and filling.
specifically references resurfacing, I believe, and says it is not.
It
It
is
actually
not allowed.
specifically says we do not do that.
Right. So, I hope that, and if people are interested, there is some we've had experience with some different regional lake associations, different areas have figured out how to raise money or do repaving jobs on their own, so we can help put them in touch with the right people or give them some guidance on how they did it. That has happened, where we haven't accepted it, but they've brought the road up into like an improved paved standard. Now, they'll have to go through conservation, and there's definitely some hoops, but it can be done.
Right. But the way to make it a public way is to get it to standards and be presented at town meeting. for
Correct.
votes.
And most of those roads would be very difficult to bring them up to our standards just because of our right-of-way width. They have to be brought to what the right-of-way widths are for your existing subdivision laws. So I
For those
would
roads,
know
that's nearly impossible.
it's going to be a minimum of 40-foot right-of-way, and I don't know the subdivision rules and regulations off the top of my head. I'd have to look, but it's whatever your smallest subdivision law regulation is, and that includes all your stormwater, your paving widths. So it's like a 24-foot road width and a 40-foot right-of-way. And most of those properties don't have the ability to get everybody in agreement, or even that much property to be able to do that.
I get it. So roads are not grandfathered in under a different standard.
No.
I know. I just wanted to
Yep.
say, because there is a lot of talk about that
There's a
now.
lot of misinformation, right, correct. Current private roads aren't grandfathered.
Okay, any comments on the memorandum?
Oh, thanks, Heather.
Okay, on the,
Oh, sorry, that was it.
the June memorandum, any comments or questions? Heather, I just have one slight correction on page 2, under the Park and Recreation. The last thing, fixed sinkhole at Centennial Park. It's actually a C.
I see it. Yep.
That was the Rotary, the 100th. S is a guard. We don't have guards down there. Okay, anyone else have a question? Okay, the July report? Well, I just have a question. Where's, on the second page again, private road maintenance, repaired, washouts, Library Lane, Goodrich Road, Camp Road, and where's Laramie?
Laramie's off of Camp,
Oh, wow.
and don't go driving down there.
No, I wondered. Camp Road's enough, but I had no idea.
Laramie, Camp kind of goes to the left. There's a little tiny road that's Laramie that goes down to the right. There's like 3 houses down there.
Oh, yeah, I even
It's
looked it
kind
up
of-
in the street directory. It's not listed. I have little to do, Jamie.
Mary's like, oh, don't go driving down there. It's
Yeah,
I've been down there in my truck and we're worried about getting back out. It's
yeah. I won't.
kind of
Good
one
to
that
know.
goes downhill and you're like,
Hey, any other questions to Heather?
And I'll stay until all
For
my
the
contracts get,
contracts.
if you have questions on this.
We'll move along quickly. If I can find my agenda again. Okay, next on the agenda is consideration to authorize the chair of the Board of Selectmen to execute a letter allowing the Lafayette sign to be placed on the town common. Mr. Volpe, good evening again.
Yes, how you doing? You should have a proposed letter in your packet there.
Yes,
So we met with the DPW, and they gave us the GPS, and they also requested that they're notified 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time to do a safe dig. You know, initially, we don't think there's any problem with it, but just to be on the safe side.
yeah,
And put that in writing from the town. So that's basically where we stand now. Is the approval that it's on the common because it's under you, the GPS locations are there, and that they give us 3 to 4 weeks lead time so we can do a test.
right. We do have a copy of the letter. Michelle recopied it. There. There was a word missing. Okay, is there a motion then to allow the chair to sign the letter?
So moved.
Second.
Is this the same?
Yeah, discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay,
And just one thing from Michelle, they would also like a copy of it scanned, and I have a new email address to send it besides there, because that way to get it moving along a lot quicker. Sorry. All right, thank you very much.
okay, thank you, Rich. Okay. Okay, next, consideration of a one-day liquor license for John Sammick / Hardwick Vineyard and Winery LLC for Sturbridge Harvest Festival on October 15th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and October 16th, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for beer and wine. We have, I believe in the past, approved this. Any questions? Comments? Someone want to make a motion?
Sure. I will move to approve a one-day liquor license for John Sammick, Hardwick Vineyard and Winery LLC for the Sturbridge Harvest Festival on October 15th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and on October 16th, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for beer and wine.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Don't stay.
One abstain. Somebody asked me about abstentions, now that you abstained, that people like to know why people abstain. I know we don't have to, but sometimes people say, you know, I have a conflict or this and that. I just thought I'd pass it along because I have gotten different times questions about why did that person abstain? So just what you thought. Okay, next we have consideration of a one-day liquor license for Mike Placella, Tutti Quanti for wine and food pairing on September 15th, 2022, October 20th, 2022, November 17th, 2022, and December 15th, 2022, at 538 Main Street, Sturbridge, from 6 to 8. So this is totally new. Oh, Mike, you beat me to it. Mike Placella, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Explain to the audience and us exactly
So for
what
those
it
of us
is.
who don't know, we're a new business in town. We've been in existence a full 5 weeks. The concept is to do one pairing a month, to introduce people to different foods, Saturday mornings at the shop is like a community affair. So I try to do the same thing one night a week. We're doing it by reservation only. To control the flow of people. We've already got our occupancy numbers from the inspector, which is 50 inside and 40 outside, which I doubt we're going to use outside anyway. So we're doing it by reservation in order to control the flow of people in and out of the building. And again, it's going to be managed from a wine perspective. We're bringing in a resident of the town, Chris Zecker, who works for WB Brands, should be doing the wine pairings, and we're going to have one day we may have olives, another day we may have meats, another day we may have sauces and breads. So that's the intention.
Okay, Mike, when you say outside, are the people going to be Serve the wine outside too?
No, we won't be serving wine outside, it'll be inside, right? Yeah.
Okay, questions from the board? Somebody want to make a motion then, one way or the other?
I'll make the motion to approve a one-day liquor license from Michael Vasella, Tutto Quanti for wine and food pairing on September 15th, October 20th, November 17th, and December 15th, 2022 at 538 Main Street from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll second. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, good luck.
Thank you, and get your reservations in soon.
Yeah.
Taste of Rhode Island over there.
I do want to add that I've had a lot of residents say what a welcome addition you are to the town and to the hospitality industry.
We're trying
A
to
lot of people have asked me, have you been in? And I said, yes, I have, even though I don't cook, I still buy things.
Mary, I don't cook, but I've been in and I cooked it.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that, you're making people cook. You're inspiring people
I know,
to
I
cook.
love
That's
the dipping oil in
huge. You're all the
bread, I
time,
love
you can
my
inspire me to
carbs.
cook very good.
No, I've had a lot of people comment, so good luck to you
Thank
and
you.
your family.
Thank you all.
Take care,
All
Mike.
right, have a good night.
Okay. Okay, next we have action on contract for paving with Mass Broken Stone Company, sum up to $330,000 at the rate per the bid documents, work to be completed on or before June 30th, 2023. Does anybody have questions on it that Heather could answer? Just one question, Robin. All our contracts go by council, don't they?
Heather, do we run those by legal counsel? I don't actually. Yeah.
So we use a standard contract form that has come from council. So we don't run them back by
Each
council
time.
because it's already in our standard contract
Right.
form, and we basically are filling in and attaching the documents to the back.
Okay.
so.
More of a template.
Yeah, no, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions? Okay, someone want to make a motion then?
Sure, I'll move to approve the contract for paving with Mass Broken Stone Company for the sum of up to $330,000 at the rate contained in the bid documents, with work to be completed on or before June 30th of 2023.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay. Michelle, you have a copy that we'll be able to sign? Along with,
All the contracts are here tonight, along with several other things.
It's got lots of piles of paper.
okay, next is the contract for brush grinding at Sturbridge landfill with Wicklow Wood Recycling LLC. The agreement is effective August 18th, 2022, and expires on November 30th, 2022, for the sum of $12,688. Any questions on that one? Okay, motion?
I will move to accept the contract for brush grinding at Sturbridge landfill and with Wicklow Wood Recycling LLC, effective August 18th, 2022, expiring November 30th, 2022, for the sum of $12,688.
I'll second.
Oh, sorry, I was. Okay.
Discussion, all in favor? Okay. Next one is the contract with CHA for 501 Main Street parking lot design in the amount of $14,000.
You skipped one.
Yeah, you skipped the North Cemetery.
Oh, that's right. I check things off before I get to it. So,
I didn't do my job, so it's really my fault.
that's right. Supposed to be awake. Okay, so let's go back then to the contract with Time Bond Inc. on the cemetery mapping at North Cemetery in the amount of $9,500. Heather, do you know the source of the funding?
That was a previous, it was actually not this year's town meeting, it was the previous year's town meeting that hadn't been completed yet. I think with the change of staff, it just didn't get pushed along, so. We went out for a couple different quotes in different places and different types of options, and basically came back to, Time Bond does all our GIS work already in town, so it will meld right in, it will be able to be on like the website and tie into our website and everything else, so this was, and it doesn't have a ongoing contract fee where most of them did, where you kept on paying and paid for updates and everything else, so we said.
These will be the type of projects that go on that capital sheet, so when you
Yeah,
say,
the-
where did this come from?
Yeah, it'll be there.
This is, I believe it was.
It was a town meeting, two town meetings?
FY '22 town meeting.
22, was it 22?
Yeah. Okay, is there a motion?
Sure, I will move to approve the contract with Time Bond Incorporated on the cemetery mapping at North Cemetery in the amount of $9,500.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay. Next is contract with CHA for 501 Main Street parking lot design in the amount of $14,000. Any questions?
So is this an additional amount that
This is an additional amount.
How come, I mean,
Well,
we owe
because
it.
their original contract didn't include doing the contract documents or any construction oversight. So this is, they got it to design and approval. Sometimes projects don't move forward, like, for example, last year, this project didn't get funded for construction. So you wouldn't have paid for your contract documents. Like, so sometimes projects get designed and we decide we're not going to do a project, so you wouldn't get them to the point where you had a full set of bidding documents with bid dates and bid timeframes and when the bid opening was going to be and everything. So that is the next phase that is happening. And I have reviewed your contract with them, previous contract, it didn't include those things. And sometimes I have had past experiences where this is the way you do things because you're not sure if a project is going to move forward. So instead of including costs that you don't know if they're going to be this year's cost or next year's cost or 3 years or never happen costs, they just don't include it in their contract.
So it's 14,000 just to produce the documents and fill
It's
in the blanks?
produce the documents, it's to assist with the bidding, answering questions during bidding. These type of projects usually have to have an addendum and those things that, where you want the engineers answering, that did the design, answering the questions. And then there's a chunk of money to assist during construction. So like if an issue comes up during construction and I am not sure what the engineer really wanted, I can call them. It's
Oh, okay, so it's also consulting costs?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a back-end compliance measure. So
Yes,
you do it
and
now,
it,
so
and
if
it
something
actually
comes
has
up
a
earlier.
breakdown of the 3 different things, I think, in their
Makes
fee
sense.
schedule.
No, I'm okay now. I just thought for a minute it was just to fill
No,
in the
it's-
blanks on the contracts. I thought it was kind of a lot for $14,000. But if they
you would
assist
do
to
it.
facilitate, yeah, I know. I was like,
it at the cost.
Yeah,
I'm
it's,
missing out on something here. That's fine, Heather, I understand.
okay.
Okay, so, motion? We had the motion. Did we have the motion, Michelle?
No.
No, okay.
I'll move to accept the contract with CHA for 501 Main Street parking lot design in the amount of $14,000.
Yeah, turn the page
Seconded.
already. Discussion, all in favor? Okay, next is the contract with Leeds Group, Inc., doing business as Leeds Salt in the amount of $94.70 per ton with a minimum amount of 225 tons and a maximum amount of 375 tons. Questions?
No, I think she explained it pretty well before.
Yes, I know. But we have new people tuning in. Okay, motion?
Sure, I will move to approve the contract with Leeds Group Incorporated, DBA, Leeds Salt, in the amount of $94.70 per ton, with a minimum amount of 225 tons and a maximum amount of 375 tons.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, next is action to allow the chair to execute the limited application waiver request town support letter to the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture Agricultural, Resources Pesticide Bureau. Any questions on that one?
What is it?
I will try to explain, because I didn't actually explain this one in my previous.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't-
so we entered into trying to do, to get approved through the state to be able to do pesticide treatments in certain areas on the sidewalk, especially on 131 and Route 20, in areas where we're getting a lot of weed intrusion, including poison ivy and noxious weeds coming over and from the guardrail and in the cracks of the sidewalks. But that process for our application is quite lengthy, and we actually have to go through a public hearing with the state to get it approved. So we have finally got our document to the stage where the state has accepted it, and they said yes, and now they'll move it through the public hearing stage, but by the time that all happens, it will be next season. What they have is these limited waivers, which basically says that, you know, if you guys agree that you would like us to proceed with this, they'll do that. They'll give us a limited waiver so that we can proceed on and do it under the treatment while we still process our application. So it's basically their way of saying, yes, we know you have everything we really need, and we're going to approve it, but
We need that.
we'll give you this as long as you guys give us that. Now, Conservation has already approved our application. We've looked at the areas that we want to limit it to. The chemicals that we can use are very limited. We use a certified, we're going to hire someone to come in and do it. And then we've already started getting quotes for that and everything also. So it's very, very specific. I will actually say it's one of the things that it's a little frustrating. We have a lot of poison ivy. I'm sure everybody is growing in different areas and parks and things of that nature. And I know as a homeowner at home, I can treat my own poison ivy, and not that I like to, but I also am very allergic to it, to get rid of it. But I can't do that here. Literally, our only option right now is to pull it by hand. Which Ian's like, yeah, don't do that. Which is
Just see the whole DPW.
Yeah,
Inhaling it.
yeah, it's very troubling, and and I don't want anybody to get it because I get it very bad.
No,
And so this is something that, at least to keep our sidewalks and our made sidewalks safe, I highly recommend to proceed with doing it. We have weed whacked them once, but
they're grown.
amazingly, I don't know how the weeds are surviving. Some of it, but they are.
This is along like 131 too.
Right, 131, Route 20 areas that we have control, and yes.
Once we're approved, will you be able to then go out and treat? We won't have to hire an outside company, or is that still
No.
going to be?
You have to have you have to have a pesticide applicator's license, which is it's not easy. It's another lengthy process. It's a very tough test. And not only, there's two different layers on the pesticide applicator. There's an applicator, and then you have to have actually a right-of-way license, which is a whole nother level. It's very interesting, actually. Where I used to work in Southbridge, we used to do this. We used to have our own right-of-way person. He actually left, and then we had to stop doing it ourselves. I mean, we used to maintain our, licenses and everything, but we had to stop ourselves. We did have an applicator and a right-of-way guy, but he left, and then you have to hire someone out. It's amazing. The state, and I'm not saying anything against it, but they really wanted to try to control from the level of where they don't want to expose people to it, so it has to be done, so they did put some very serious controls on it, so much more serious than what you can do as a homeowner. It's amazing.
On your own property.
That's probably for the best, once you get a truck full of poison.
Yeah, you want to have it regulated. It is dangerous, so you want to make sure.
I know a yard on Main Street, you can put it in.
And I don't get poison ivy, so.
Oh, so
All right,
you won't
Jamie, I'm
mind.
hiring you then.
I guess what I've never done is what I hired to go pull weeds.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You need some volunteering
No,
time?
I think I'm good.
I don't know any community service.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes, I will move to approve to allow the chair to execute the limited application waiver request town support letter to the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources Pesticide Bureau.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Okay. Michelle, do you have another one, or do you want me to sign this one?
It doesn't matter. Whichever you do, it's same one.
Well, you've got the tag on that.
Got the sign here, sticky, it's official.
That's just ego.
Just to get it out of the way.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Heather.
thank you,
Take
Heather.
care.
There we go.
Okay, next. Okay, action to adopt the order of taking in the form submitted to complete the layout of a portion of Hillside Drive as accepted by the vote on June 6, 2022 town meeting, annual town meeting, under Article 30. No damages are awarded for this taking. Questions? Okay, someone want to make a motion?
Sure, I will move to adopt the order of taking in the form submitted to complete the layout of a portion of Hillside Drive as accepted by the vote on June 6, 2022, Towns of Sturbridge Annual Town Meeting under Article 30. No damages awarded for the taking.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Now, this has been a long process, this
this the
Hillside
la- is
Drive.
this the last
Is this the
form for
last
this?
step? This is it. I mean, I know we approved it in 2021, and we didn't record it.
Other than recording, which I think Jean is all over us.
Okay, because last year we had a problem. We didn't record it, right? So,
Slip through.
Should be fine this year, we hope.
nice.
No mistakes.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, thank you again, Heather. Okay, now that's one, couple of these things the whole board has to sign, so don't run away. Okay, next we have old business. Jamie?
No old business.
Mary?
No.
Ian?
Nope.
Just one little thing. Did we ever hear back from the gentleman from the Woo Sox?
Yes, so they're working on whether or not, they sent me an email back about whether they want to present collectively to the board or meet with me first, so we're working on scheduling a time. I think that's going to be a presentation to the board, so they're working.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That will be happening.
Okay, thank you. New business. Ian?
I have none.
Mary?
I don't either, but I just thought of some.
I'm gonna stop.
Can I backtrack?
I'm gonna stop betting with
I
myself.
don't
and I'll
have
win.
you, though, so I'm good on
No,
that.
No, you can go
What are
back.
we meeting with Southbridge over the,
I'm waiting to hear back from
Still.
them. I sent some, you had authorized me to enter into negotiations.
anywhere?
I sent some general terms and things that I thought we might want to consider. I have not heard back. I do know he has had some major staffing issues in his town, and he's dealing with a whole host of other issues. I
You're
will
on
nudge
it.
him again, but I just try to give him a little time to.
Yeah, and it's August.
Take care.
It's
Yes.
August.
Summer.
Everybody's on vacation.
Okay, I just
But
wanted
it's
an
not, it's not
update.
off the radar.
All right,
Yeah.
good.
Okay, next correspondence.
I have some new business. I don't, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Oh, do I have a list of correspondence? I don't even know.
No,
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
there wasn't a list, just the one Robin referenced. Okay, Jamie, did you have any new? Okay, citizens forum.
Hi, welcome. Happy August.
Okay, motion then to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Oh, whoa.
Discussion. All in favor?
Took your job away from you.
I will be off for 2